Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. As we wrap up our series called Us, I wanted to take a stab at some family dynamics and really talk about trust, the importance of trust within a family. And I'm thinking back to a movie called Meet the Parents, and there's a pervasive theme throughout that whole movie about being in the circle of trust. And Greg is trying to earn the respect of his new in-laws, and it's near impossible, but that's part of the funniness of the movie. And there's this one scene where he's got a piece of paper stapled to his shirt, and there's a big circle that says Circle of Trust, and then there's a little dot outside of the circle that's labeled Greg. And essentially his father-in-law is saying, you are not in the inner circle. And I would argue when it comes to our families, we all want trust. We all want to be a part of that inner circle. We all want to know how we'd give trust, how we'd extend trust, and also how do we earn trust. And I just heard a story the other day of Dave Ramsey told by his daughter, Rachel Cruz, and how she was raised as a kid based on this concept, this metaphor of the rope. And she said, basically, as kids, they were told that there is an imaginary rope tied around their waist. And as parents, they held on to the other end of the rope. And whenever they would, go out, when they were extended some sort of trust, they would either earn more rope based on how they behaved or less if they broke trust in some way, they misbehaved, or there was an issue. And so they basically just functioned and learned this normal habit, this normal pattern of life. They obviously it was an imaginary rope, but when they would go out, they would know that if there was a rule communicated, they had a choice. They could either break it and lose some trust and more rope would be pulled in and have a shorter leash, so to speak, or they would earn more rope and they'd have as much freedom as they wanted. And I would argue in our families, whether we're a parent or whether we're a kid or whether we're a spouse, everyone, if you can picture it, everyone in your family has an end of a rope. And if we humble ourselves enough to realize that it's our role to earn some of that trust, then we can basically communicate those expectations clearly and then go to work on meeting them. See, in Colossians 3:15 through 17, it talks a lot about how our household is run. It says, let the peace of Christ, the Message version says, let the peace of Christ keep you in line with one another. It says, no going off and doing your own thing. In a family unit, there's no such thing as I have a different set of rules than you have, right? We all get to work as one unit. And then it says, let God have the run of the house. And see, if we behave in this way, if our faith life is reflected in our home life, then we give and receive trust. Basically, we can give and receive grace as often as God has done it for us. See, it even says to instruct and direct based on common sense. And so if we create this environment in our home where there's room for communication and there's room for clearly communicated expectations, then we can go to work on meeting those expectations. And we have this safe environment where we can say and discuss when our expectations go unmet. Basically, the whole time, whether it's spouse, parent, kid, we're extending and receiving or extending and earning this trust based on this rope analogy. So as you go into your week, as you consider your family and the people that you engage with within that family, it's all about that circle of trust. And if you would humble yourself and set an example of asking some questions, how can I earn your trust? What things do I regularly do that may break that trust? And that you can get clear on all of those expectations. And then the second thing that you could do this week, if you would just go to work on meeting those expectations, right? Earning more and more trust. Your family unit, your relationships will begin to grow. There will be clearer communication and more trust than you could ever dream of. That at some point, Rachel Cruz ends her story by saying, at some point, my parents just handed us the whole rope because we had so much trust and we worked so well within this metaphor that we functioned as a unit, and God had run of the house. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.